Live on Prime Network, it's the third stop of the SCCA Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. On this twisting, 14-turn, 1.6-mile course, 32 top drivers will hit speeds of 170 miles per hour as they race for victory in the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas in Addison. The Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas and Addison is sponsored by Oldsmobile. Stop by your Oldsmobile dealer and see what's new from the new generation of Olds. They still do things big in Texas. And when you're near Dallas, it's done with class and sophistication. This may be America's most contemporary city, and this is also a very important American road racing weekend. Hi, everybody. I'm Larry Nuber, along with Doc Bundy, one of America's most active road racers. And we are here in Addison, Texas, that's suburban Dallas, for the third stop on the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. Now, this is a temporary circuit, its own unique set of problems. But, Doc, as a racer, I'm curious, how do you view this Trans Am series?
The Trans Am series now, Larry, with the addition of Procter & Gamble to the title role, it's now the NASCAR of road racing. It is really big business and great racing.
The racing does seem to get just a little better every year, and this will be a very demanding course because this is a temporary road course. Now, we will have two veteran pit reporters doing the work for us down in the trenches today, and the first one of those two, Dennis Torres, is standing by with today's pole setter.
Not only is he fast qualifier, but he's also the series points leader, and he won in Mexico. Scott Sharp, what is it going to take today?
Well, I think we're going to really have to conserve our Duracell Camaro all day long. It's hot. The temperature's really going to take its toll on the tires. And I think the driver who has a lot left at the end is the one who's going to be able to win this race.
That's the word from the pole sitter. Now let's go down to my broadcast colleague in the pits, Jim Hendrick.
All right, thank you very much, Dennis. Now, this is the kind of course that's going to stand up perhaps and bite you. There's over a dozen tight turns, and the surface of the track changes from asphalt to cement, back to asphalt. It's going to take its toll on the tires, perhaps. Also, perhaps it'll take its toll for sure on the brakes. It's going to be a grueling endurance of the drivers because we have a lot of humidity, a lot of heat here today. And also, it is going to be a track that is going to be very tight. 1.6-mile course, 80 laps. We'll have lots of actions. Now let's go back to Larry.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Darren Brassfield also is a winner this year. We've only had two previous races, and Scott Sharp, as you heard earlier, and Darren Brassfield are the two winners so far this season. The field is almost all set to go. As we look at this course, it's actually a converted airport, and here is the starting grid. On the pole is Scott Sharp, points leader, the number 33 Camaro, sponsored by Duracell. On the outside is Paul Gentilossi, and one of the Oldsmobile Cutlasses entered here. His team is strong. Irv Harris, teammate, injured in a pit incident yesterday, starts third. George Robinson, the surprise among the top qualifiers, fourth in his Camaro. On the inside of row 3, the veteran Les Lindley, his Camaro, and he is flanked by another veteran, Greg Pickett, a man many think might win points this year. Canadian Ron Fellows, almost a winner in Mexico, is next, followed by Bob Sobey from Phoenix, Arizona, the number 55 Mobile Camaro. Jack Baldwin in the Skoal Bandit number 28 Camaro, and on his right side is Dick Danielson, his first Trans Am entry of 1991. Here's the rest of the field: Darren Brassfield, Lou Gelati, row 7 Jim Durhagen, Bob Hatch. In the 8th row, John Jones and Randy Ruhlman. The 9th row, side by side, Richard Valentine. In row number 10, Bruce Nesbitt and Steve Petty, Scott Lagasse and Steve Saline, followed by Glenn Fox, Jerry Brassfield, Jim Pallas, and Phil Bartlett. The 13th row, 14th row, Robert Ripple and John Anderson, followed by Jimmy Landrum and Mark Peelsticker. And the last row, all alone, Jerry Clinton and Deborah Gregg. Deborah unable to turn in an official qualifying run here this weekend in Addison, Texas. We are mentioned that we're on a temporary road course. Part of it is an airport, part of it is temporary pavement. Now, here's a quick look at the Kenwood Fast 5 qualifiers, and we'll be back with the starting grid and the green flag in just a moment here from Addison, Texas.
Whether I'm racing 200 miles an hour or driving 55, I don't accept compromises. You shouldn't either. Cars should be responsive yet fuel efficient. Roomy yet sleek. Not to mention affordable.
Well, surprisingly, one car does all that and more. The new Cutlass Supreme.
So take a look at any new Cutlass Supreme and see for yourself.
Here's one car that does it all and does it right.
This is the new generation of old.
I feel good. Time to go, boys. You've been in there long enough.
Hey, we're not even tired.
I feel good. So I've checked the mileage and it's...
Hey, we're the auto lights. We're guaranteed.
guaranteed.
I feel good. Yeah, 2 years no matter how far we go.
A spark plug guarantees that.
We do. Yeah, we're the auto lights.
Right.
So go pull the plug on somebody else.
Hi, I'm Jenny at the NRA. Want this Imperial Schrade pocket knife free? I'll be back to tell you how.
Why did I join the NRA? There's a national organization of people who are dedicated to promoting shooting sports, gun safety.
Join the NRA. Call this number now. For just $25, you'll receive all of the NRA's great benefits, including 12 exciting issues of American Hunter or American Rifleman magazine, valuable insurance benefits, your official membership card and window decal. Call now and receive the 1991 NRA Premium Pack with valuable discounts on leading brands of hunting, shooting, and sporting equipment. Have your MasterCard or Visa ready when you call.
The NRA has the same beliefs that I do. They have the same interests that I do. And that's why I belong to the NRA.
You can get the Imperial Schrade as an extra bonus if you join now. 2 blades make it perfect for outdoors, and it can be yours free. Call now with your MasterCard or Visa.
This is Addison, Texas, one of the swank suburbs of the north side of Dallas, and we're here for the 3rd stop on the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour SCCA Racing. I'd like to thank Lester Aberval Jr. He's the president and CEO of EDS. That's a company from right here in Dallas that really supports motor racing. He was the man who gave the call of gentlemen, start your engines today. And when the green flag drops in about 1/2 of a lap, yes, we are that close to the start of today's race, John Middlebrook, he is the honorary green flag waver. He's a man very instrumental in Pontiac's participation in motor racing as well as their sponsorship of this event. We've had a nice crowd show up this weekend for the Trans Am racing in the Dallas area. And Doc, as I look at this field, I see several pre-race favorites. Greg Pickett starting 6th, Ron Fellows is 7th, Darren Brassfield all the way back to 11th. These first few laps could be exciting.
Well, I think what you're going to see off the start is the V8s. Scott is in a V8, and Irv and a couple of the other cars are on V6s. So you're going to see the V8 pull on the start, I think.
The score is 1-1. V8s have won 1 race as V6s have. There is a V8 on the pole, that yellow and black number 33 of V6 alongside. The first turner's right-hander. The drivers are looking skyward. They're looking for that flicker of green. John Middlebrook looks the field over. Being advised by SCCA, the green flag is out, and Scott Sharp grabs a big jump going into the number 1 corner. The field behind him straggles. One of the Olivetti cars misses the first corner. It looked like something may have gone wrong. I think that was Paul Genelosi. That is Irv Hare, who runs in 2nd. Running in 3rd is Les Lindley, and Greg Pickett follows through in 4th. But I believe that we lost Paul Genelosi on the number 1 corner.
Yeah, it looked to me like Les come up in there too hot and tagged Paul going into the corner.
We are working on lap number 1 of the Trans Am race here in Addison, Texas. And Scott Sharp, the pole setter with a brand new track record, the man who won the most recent race on the Trans Am Trail, leads here. And Irv Hare, more about his story in a few moments. He was seriously injured in a non-racing accident yesterday here on the racetrack grounds. But Scott Sharp, with V8 power underneath him, right now heads the field, and there's a V6 breathing down his tailpipes.
And you know, another interesting thing here, besides the V6 V8 confrontation, we have cars, some of the cars on soft compound tires and some of them on the harder compound. Scott is running the softer compound right now. So we'll see how long that those tires will hold up in this heat.
Let's set this format for you, the field here as well as the environment. This is the front straightaway. They are paralleling an active runway. This is a 1.6-mile course. Scott Sharp makes the first corner. It's a hard right-hander. They are actually going across active runways that end just to the left there. Then they make a hard left-hander for corner number 2. You'll next see the field cross underneath a pedestrian bridge. There you see it, the CMT bridge. That's the south end of the racetrack, and a series of long sweepers. They're high speed, Doc.
Yeah, this is a real nasty little section. This corner they're going through right now is tough. It's kind of fast, and you're about half out of control coming into it.
This is the back straightaway. It's actually Addison Road, and it's interrupted, as you see, by a chicane. A quick left, right, then another right and left back onto the same road, Addison Road. Speed limit 35 miles an hour, except today. And they're approaching now the north end of the racetrack, and this left-hander coming up is around the fire station, a place no one hopes they have to stop today. Then the north end sweeper. There's a left, there's a right. We're entering back toward the active runway and the airport or front straightaway. Down in the pits, we have a developing story already here just in lap number 2. Dennis Torres standing by. Dennis. Apparently we're having difficulties, electronic difficulties. The man with mechanical difficulties is Paul Genelosi, the Michigan driver who qualified on the outside pole, whom you saw, we believe, get punted off of the racetrack at the drop of the green flag. He went straight going into the very first corner, and what a disappointment. He's had a great weekend up till this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I doubt that the accident had anything to do with it. It's probably just something failed up under the hood.
Coming in the way that he has so early with the hood coming off, seems like there's a possibility that the engine may have faltered, and that is why he got booted from behind by Les.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I feel. It probably happened that way. Something faltered, and he wasn't up to his normal speed. Les come on certainly on a charge, and just slid into Paul.
Les Lindley in that bright yellow orange trim number 8 right there on the left-hand side of your screen continues to run in 3rd place. This may be Les's swan song in Trans Am racing. This will be his last full season. He plans on running a couple more next year, but he is looking for a new young Charger to put in that seat. We're looking at the number 6 car running second. That is Peoria, Illinois' Herb Hare. And Doc, he had some drama that you just don't anticipate at a racetrack this weekend.
Now, he had the strangest thing happen to him. I believe, as I was told to me, that he kind of fell off of a pit cart when they were towing his car back to the pits after practice. I talked to him a little bit before the race. He looks not really race worthy. His face is all skinned up, and he was real worried about his left hand, and he had it taped up, and he was afraid it might start bleeding on him.
He actually spent a considerable amount of time in the hospital. It was a very serious accident, considering that it was done off of a golf cart. We've had information, incidentally, that the car number 25, the Manassas, Virginia driver, Robert Ripple, this is his first Trans Am entry of this year, has been black flagged. We are at Addison, Texas. We are in a suburb of Dallas, and this is the 3rd stop on the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. There you see the top 5 at this early juncture. It's Scott Sharp, Herb Hare, Les Lindley. Greg Pickett is running 4th, and Phoenix, Arizona's Bob Sobey runs 5th after 3 of 80 laps.
Set.
Why does one person excel above all others? Is it motivation, raw talent, desire? Is it personal satisfaction, intelligence, luck? There's no magic formula, and there's really no secret. But there is Soloflex. Because Soloflex is designed and engineered with one thing in mind, your body's needs. And we've created the finest, most complete, and simplest system to attain those needs. With Soloflex, the reward is yours. For a free brochure, call anytime.
Sunday, the world's most precise golfers fight it out in the final round of the 91 Tun Hill British Masters. 6 Eastern, Sunday night on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
Hey, remember that black car that was running in 2nd place just a few moments ago when you left us? Well, there it is again. However, as you will see shortly, it is no longer running in 2nd place. Here's what happened, Doc.
Well, Irv just got a better shot off of 1 and slipped inside of Scott as they approached 2. And just Scott had no choice but to let him through.
That Wiley Post straight, which Irv Hare was tearing up, is only about 1/8 of a mile long. The number 24, the local driver, Jim Pallas from Dallas, Texas, his first Trans Am entry of this season. He's a veteran short track roundy round driver, as a matter of fact, but his Trans Am day here in Addison ends very suddenly. We're commenting about where Irv Hare made the pass. It was on the very short Wiley Post Road straight. It can't be more than 1/8 of a mile. You really wouldn't expect to be passed there.
Well, it is one of the more popular places, believe it or not, and it's all how you do turn 1. If you can get momentum on the other guy through 1, then you can slip inside on turn 2.
Well, Dennis Torres is patrolling the pits. We've already had some activity down there. Paul Gentilozzi was a man who started on the outside of the front row of this race but dropped out early. Dennis, can you give us an update?
A very short race for Paul Gentilozzi. Paul, what put you out of the race?
The number 8 car in turn 1 totally lost any semblance of brain that he had and went way too deep. He was going to win the race on the first turn and hit me in the side. There was absolutely no reason or any excuse for that to happen other than a complete loss of consciousness.
Well, he was very specific and succinct, and that happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes, well, when you're in that situation, you're in a car, it's the start of the race, and you're all keyed up to go racing, and then some silly little mistake happens like that. It really infuriates you.
Well, there is still a yellow car running in second position, but it has changed as we speculated it might. The man that Paul Gentilozzi was verbally assaulting, Les Lindley, is now running in second position, and Scott Sharp has dropped back to fourth. Now, there's Randy Roman in that white number 12, and in number 21 is Wayne Akers. Both of those drivers expect to be regulars on the Trans Am Trail in 1991. Money's tight, but they're here in Dallas giving it a good old country or college try, that is. Running in third is Greg Pickett. You see him there on the right-hand side of your screen, and Scott Sharp, our pole setter, has definitely lost ground to the leaders. But Doc, I remember the last race in Mexico City, he absolutely held back the early stages of the race.
I think that's exactly what he's doing now. He's just setting a pace where he's protecting his tires and protecting his engine. You know, Addison is tough on equipment, so you've got to protect everything.
We are riding along with Mississauga, Canada's, that's near Toronto, Ron Fellows. This is the AER McKinsey Ford Mustang. This is a race car that was built and developed by Jack Roush, and Ron Fellows is campaigning it this year. He's been close in both of the previous races to winning. He has not scored his first victory of 1991 yet, but you're riding with Fellows. That's the chicane on the backstretch. You'll be looking for a right-hander and a quick flick back to the left, and he'll be on the second half of the back straightaway heading for that fire station turn. Can you do much passing at this end of the track, Doc? It's fast and it's sweeping, but it seems narrow.
It's very narrow, and it's very difficult to make any kind of a pass there at all.
We're back up front. This is the airport straightaway. You can see Les Lindley really feeling his oats today. Here's a man who is number 2 on the all-time list of Trans Am entries, but has yet to score a victory. Lots of top 10s, lots of top 5s. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he's second to Jim Durhog in top 10 finishes, but still looking for that elusive first win. If he can score one victory on his last tour in 1991 of Trans Am racing, that would be a magic moment.
That certainly would be, and Les is one of the cornerstones, one of the backstones, you know, I would almost said back marker, and he's certainly not a back marker. Looks like one of the Mustangs lost, I think it's Johnny Jones, lost a front tire.
That's the car that is owned by Bob Zeeb. And also, Deborah Gregg has made contact with one of the left-handers out on course. You can see it was reasonably significant. And there's another car involved that looked like it might have been Jerry Brassfield, but we could not come up with the number. He dropped it down in gear and pulled away. There's John Anderson going by. And here is that smoke that we saw coming out from underneath the right front of John Jones. You think tire, perhaps?
Well, the tire seems to be staying up. It's actually coming out of the wheel area. So I don't know if maybe a brake caliper failed or something up in that front suspension area must have gone.
This is a big chance for John. He's a man with a tremendous amount of experience. Indianapolis cars. He's been in the Indianapolis 500. He's been a champion of both Trans Am and GTO, but struggling to come up with the full-time ride. And Bob Zeed was kind enough to make this available for him as they fielded the AER Zeed Racing Ford Mustang this weekend. But it looks like John's day may come to an end here early on. John's pulling into the pit area. Now there's the number 44 running on the front straightaway as they go past Deborah Gregg. They're still trying to get Deborah removed. She's from the very final corner. She's caught up on the very final corner. That's turn 14.
Yeah, the 44 that we're looking at there is a new Pontiac being driven by my teammate from last year, Scott Lagasse. And the car's prepared by a team that I once drove for, Group 44. And, you know, this is their first outing.
We've had another spin out on course. There is Jerry Brassfield, whom we suspected might have been involved in another altercation. Jimmy Landrum, another Dallas driver, he has to come to a stop. And the leaders all bunch up as they come around this corner. Looks like it's the exit to that chicane on the back straightaway as Jerry Brassfield just can't get going the right direction. Everybody coming to a stop. They're coming out of there. There's Jack Baldwin with nowhere to go. Ron Fellow slips by on the outside. Dick Danielson has to come to a stop. But little do they know that everybody else up front also had to stop, so no one really lost any ground. And incidentally, that was at the end of the second half of the back straightaway. So that was right at corner number 11 at the fire station turn. But Irv Hare, who took over the lead from Scott Sharp on lap number 3, continues to lead here in Addison.
Introducing the Bud Light IMSA Racing Team. Catch it this season.
Let's go. All revved up and ready to go.
How do we get the truck back?
Throw it in reverse.
Let's go.
Free Sports Watch with your order of Hot Boats, the video. Hydroplanes ripping through the water at 200 miles per hour. Experience the power and the danger in this one-of-a-kind video for only $19.95. Hot Boats, the video. Call now. Ask for the Hot Boats video and your free sports watch. Call now.
Call 1-800-647-5555. That's 1-800-647-5555.
Speed. Each second is critical. Acceleration. Each move determines a champion. Discover the real story behind the race with This Weekend Kart, the Chevrolet Motorsports Hour, AMA Championship Motocross, Indy Car World, and This Weekend NASCAR. It's every fan's dream, every racer's obsession. Thursday nights on Prime Network, available on most Prime affiliates.
It seems as though all we have to do is leave for a commercial, and we have a lead change. Les Lindley right there, one lap ago, at the entrance to the chicane, found out that Irv Hare gave him a little bit of an opening.
As you can see here, the power of the V8 coming up that little short chute just pulls up inside of Irv. And once he's inside, he's got the line for the left-hander going into the chicane.
And there you can see Scott Sharp there, the bright orange yellow or school bus yellow and black number 33 has moved past Greg Pickett. He now runs third. Pickett is fourth. Dennis, more from the pit area.
I'm standing next to Jim Rogers, crew chief for Scott Sharp. What is Scott saying? What's wrong with the car, Jim?
Well, he's hanging in there. It's a 125-mile race. There's no sense in trying to go as fast as you can to start. So at the end of the race where it counts.
Are you saying he's pacing himself right now?
He's driving a smart race.
That's the story from the Sharp pits.
It's never what you say, it's what you don't say, isn't it?
Exactly. Everybody in the pits is afraid that every other team has a monitor, so they don't want to give any secrets away. Nowhere, no time.
Although, if anybody at all was paying attention, as we suggested about 5 minutes ago, this is exactly how Scott won the race at Mexico City. After the one obligatory pit stop that they had to make, he was just on fire when he came out of the pits and unreachable.
It's interesting now we're running V8, V6, V8, V6 again in order. The V8s definitely have strength on the V6s through on the long straights or the chutes where they can use the power. In the corners, the V6s are easier on their tires. So, you know, it's really going to become interesting towards the later stages of the race.
The leader, Les Lindley, is running a V8, I believe, and running in second place right now over here. That's definitely one of the Rocket Sports V6s. Scott Sharp is in a V8. And, of course, Greg Pickett is also in a V8. Now, here is Scott Sharp, who did win that last race in Mexico City, and Sharp just got passed by Greg Pickett. He also continues to lead the points after 2 races, but he's running what we believe to be a very conservative race today. He's staying within sight of the leader of the race, but still down into the top 5.
We can see Lou Gelati. Not sure if he's in position or not, but he's staying right in that top 5 or 6.
You know, you make a good point, because I have not seen him lap. Now, we're looking at the official timing and scoring, and I believe that they are showing him right now in 5th position. And if that is true, that's a terrific drive for Gelati. Gelati was the 12th fastest qualifier. It is that black and white car at the very top middle of your screen right now. You can see people behind him are trying to look for a way to get around on the end of the back straightaway, and they did not make it. So Gelati turning in a great performance. He is new to the Trans Am Series, but lots of experience in sedan road racing in America.
Exactly. Lou came out of the Escort Series, where I've been running the last couple of years.
Look at this. Irv here makes a pass on the outside. The V6 out accelerates the V8, coming down the front straightaway, and Hare makes a pass on the outside to take back the lead. Now, there's Greg Pickett. He has moved into 3rd, so he is back around Scott Sharp. So lots of trading going on up front.
I told you, Larry, this is the NASCAR of road racing. These guys keep it close, and they keep hammering on each other every turn, every straightaway.
Now, I want you to explain to me, how can that little V6 get enough horsepower on that short airport front straightaway to go ahead and make a pass on the outside?
Well, my guess is that he just cooled his tires for a while, got the tires working, and then he just got a super shot off of turn 14 and was able to get up beside Les. And I think then what happened is Les is probably starting to cool his brakes a little bit, because he's been running aggressively, and Irv just out-deeped him.
Now, the V6s have a weight brake, so theoretically they should be able to punish their tires a little more than what the V8s will be able to do.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a strange mixture here, because the V6 is lighter, so he should be able to, in theory, he should be easier on his tires. But one of the ironic parts is sometimes you push your V6 too hard in the corners.
Doc, the story of this race is this checkerboard black and white number 20 of Lou Gelati. This may be his first ever Trans Am race. I'm not crystal clear on that, because we've seen him run so many times in American sedans, cars with fenders, but I never remember seeing him in a Trans Am race. He's running a very competitive horse. Now, here's Robert Ripple. He started his first Trans Am race of 1991 today, and earlier he was Black Flag, and now it looks like he's stopping out on course, and Robert, the Virginia driver, who is a veteran Trans Am racer, looks like his day is over.
That's unfortunate. And those sorts of things happen. It looks like he might be, well, no, he's not under power. So we see a little smoke coming out from under the hood. He must have lost an engine.
It's a tough road to hoe, truly, to try and stay competitive with Trans Am racing. These cars are not toys. These are very professional race cars. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of dollars to remain competitive.
It certainly does, and it's a lot of responsibility under you. You've got a lot of horsepower with these cars, and the kind of tires, the slicks that you run on these things give you a incredible amount of grip. But with all that power, you have to learn to manage it, and I think Lou's learning that now. Lou, I believe, has started a couple of Trans Ams. He may have started a couple last year, but this is certainly the best run he's ever had. And you can see who's hot on his trail there is Darren Brassfield and the other Rocket Sports cars. So it's going to be interesting. It's shaping up to be a great show.
Irv Hare continues to lead, but here comes Darren Brassfield.
Big wheels keep turning. Big wheel Rossi.
Add more life to your car. Use Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. It helps keep engines clean and free from deposits. Get 5W30, 10W30, or 10W40 Texaco Haviland Formula 3 on sale, only 99 cents per quart.
Big wheels keep turning.
Get the message.
Big wheel Rossi.
Arena Bowl. An indoor war on the floor. High scoring. Hard hitting. Iron Man football. To get closer to the action, you have to suit up. Arena football. Orlando and Detroit this weekend on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
You need a car? Listen, each year government agencies auction, sell, and liquidate thousands of cars and trucks, and the bidding starts as low as $30. Government vehicles, luxury cars taken from drug dealers, criminals, and thousands more seized, repossessed, sold through bankruptcy proceedings. Now find out how you can grab the car you want at government liquidation and bankruptcy prices. Bid as low as $30 for Porsches, Mercedes, Ferraris, Corvettes, family cars, and trucks. Find out how to get the car you want now. Call 1-900-847-4800. That's 1-900-847-4800. Just $2 a minute.
A very hot and steamy weekend here in Dallas, Texas, and the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour is gracing the crowd here in Addison, Texas. Now, Irv Hare continues to lead this race, and his life has changed a lot this year. He's not owning the car this year, just driving. This is the fourth year Irv Hare has run full-time on the SCCA Trans Am Tour, but this year has brought a significant change. During the winter, he sold his car, truck, and the whole shop to the skiing Mayer brothers, and now is a driver only for the Olivetti Oldsmobile team, the highest profile on the Liquid Tide Tour.
It appeared to me that if I was ever going to leave my own team and go drive for somebody else, I wanted to be with the very best team. And at the end of last year and at this time, it looks like this is definitely the right team to be on. So it really has worked out well.
In the past, his days at the track were not just filled with driving style and chassis adjustments, but financial and management decisions as well. Now his only concern is adding to his Trans Am victory total.
I think you could get spoiled in a hurry here. You know, I'm really enjoying this, not having to worry about all the little management problems of running a race team, and really being able to just concentrate on my race car, work with my crew chief, and worry a little more about my driving. So it's really a plus, I think.
Doc Bundy, it looks like he made a good decision, at least right now, doesn't it?
I think Irv has really come on his own this year simply because of this arrangement he has with Genelosi.
Here are the top five: Hare, Lindley, Greg Pickett running third, Gelati holding on in fourth position, and Darren Brassfield climbing up and turning the heat up. Scott Sharp is sixth, George Robinson fourth fastest qualifier, seventh. Arizona's Bob Sobey. Canadian Ron Fellows may be a little disappointed. He's been running up front all year long, and he right now only rests in the ninth position.
Again, it's early in the race, and this is a long race for these cars, and as you can see, traffic is very difficult to deal with. So, you know, Ron might not be too far out. I know they were testing, he told me, the week before, and they found a lot of gain, a lot of improvement in the car by changing some rear suspension pickup points, and he's got a lot better grip off the corners. Boy, they're just nose to tail again.
Boy, traffic is very heavy. That is the north end of the racetrack, those north sweepers that we told you about. They're right, left, left, back again, onto the home straightaway. Again, an active runway just off to the left of this picture. Cars are heading due south as they go into corner number one. Greg Pickett, he stays close. You can see Gelati still running in fourth position, and Darren Brassfield has not been able to get by Scott Sharp within shouting distance, but maybe holding back just a bit.
I think Scotty's running a pace, and I think he's just trying to save. Remember, I remarked at the beginning of the race he chose to start on the soft compound. Well, that's good for about the first 4 or 5 laps, and then that tire gets real hot. If you continue to press it, it'll just get so slippery you'll burn it off. So I think he's probably setting a pace to protect that tire till his first pit stop.
Irv Hare driving this year exactly what the lyrics of the song say. This is not your father's Oldsmobile. He couldn't say that until now. It's always been his father's Oldsmobile, but not in 1991. Gets himself a little breathing room there. He goes underneath John Anderson, and Les Lindley just doesn't have time to get around.
There's my old teammate from last year, Scott Lagasse in the Pontiac. Boy, it's good to see Pontiac back in this series. I think it's been about 7 or 8 years since they've been in Trans Am. And, you know, this particular race is their race. I think we got a pit report Oh, I'm sorry. No, here, Larry.
No, we're talking about Scott Lagasse. This is the first time this year that Bob Tullius has been able to field a car. They have some unusual expectations for 1991.
Our expectations as a team this year, starting here at Dallas, are to see how we stack up against the competition. Our testing begins after Detroit, which is in 2 weeks. Really, we're focused on 1992. We're going to do 4 or 5 races, depending on how our testing goes. But we're certainly not behind for 1991. We don't intend to compete for the championship. We're ahead for 92.
Lagasse has a lot of experience behind the wheel of a motor car. He ran the Formula Renault Series. I think that was the first time when he surfaced, at least in my motor racing vocabulary. And he has run everything with fenders and has indicated that he'd like to get into some open wheelers, but the opportunity just has never presented itself to him. And I know that they are very serious about this assault on the Trans Am Series for next year.
Without a doubt, and they say they'll probably come back with a 2-car effort next year once they get the data.
And we've had a spin, and I think it might have been Gelati.
I think so. You know, when I was kind of watching him, it looked like he was a little loose off some of the corners, that's an indication of just being a little too aggressive.
A lack of experience. Lou has seldom raced in a car with this amount of horsepower. And he has got to feel absolutely horrible in the cockpit right now, because here he was running in the top 5 of a Trans Am race in 1 momentary lapse. That's been a tough corner. I saw several people in practice, Doc, lose it there. Our second-place car, Les Lindley, had a minor crash there in practice on Friday. He cooked her into that final corner, hit the brakes, it locked up, and he hit the outside wall, making a left turn, which is very unusual.
It's a real bumpy approach to that corner, and so you've got to have yourself, you really don't want to late brake into that corner. If you do, it upsets the car something fierce, and before you know it, you're into the outside wall. So you really got to go in there with a bit of discipline. You know, hold back a little bit and try to get the car in smooth. And it's very important because it leads on to our longest straightaway. So you've got to use discipline. Here we're riding with Ron Fellows.
Down the back straightaway, chicane coming up. Brake hard, downshift. There's Fellows along for the Sunday ride, as we always say, is what it appears to be when drivers are inside the cockpit. He's already out of the chicane and into the North Sweepers, following Richard Valentine. There in the white Mobil number 54. Gets very narrow there. Now he's got an opportunity to pass the front straightaway onto a runway. It's actually a taxi road. Opens up and allows you some room to pass.
Yeah, it's a good pass.
You were reserving judgment on that one until he made it.
Yeah, I was waiting to see, because I've been in that situation where he was. You get on that outside, and that guy has acceleration with you, and you think, is he going to let me through? Is he going to let me through? And I think Ron was probably thinking the same thing.
Ron Fellows, who has dropped back to 19th position, is working to improve his position. Caught up behind slower.
SCCA. We make racing happen. To get involved, call for membership information. Toll free, 1-800-255-5550.
A company can learn a lot in 125 years. Valvoline has. You learn in the lab, you learn on the road, you learn on the racetrack. As you learn, you make your product better. And better and better. Today's Valvoline will keep your engine cleaner than ever before. And cleaner means more protection against engine wear. 125 years of quality. That's why people who know use Valvoline.
In Australia, there's wild beaches, the Outback, and Aussie rules football. Full out, full-blown, full-contact football. The hardest hits, the awesome kicks, and the man in white. There's nothing like it. Australian rules football, it's a kick. Friday afternoons at 5 on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
Hey, you look like an avid sports fan. How would you like to win $500?
Do what?
$500. All you have to do is answer 6 sports trivia questions.
Like what?
Well, questions on football, soccer, tennis, basketball, golf, Baseball? Yeah, baseball, too. All sports. Just answer 6 trivia questions.
$500? What are the questions?
I can't tell you. Just call 1-900-CAN-I-WIN. Championship Sports Trivia. 1-900-CAN-I-WIN. Just $2 per minute.
Jack Baldwin and the Buzz McCall Camaro right now is residing in 8th position, but he has his sights set in on moving up 1 position. He's going after 7th, and he's hoping to create a battle with Arizona's Bob Sobey in that white blue trim number 55 directly in front of him. Now that is the lapped car of Glenn Fox, the blue and white Mustang, just in front of the 2 of them. They'll go to the inside of Fox coming down the back straightaway. Can Baldwin get through as they go into the chicane? Yes, he does slip through that 7th and 8th position.
This is a pretty good battle here. Bob is having, Sobey here is having one of his better races. And you know, Jack is so aggressive. It's hard for me to imagine he's going to hold back there long, unless, again, he's in this tire situation where he's got to protect the tires.
The yellow flag, a full course yellow flag, we understand is going to be waved. Dennis.
This is Grant Ingram, Jerry Brassfield's crew chief. What was the problem? Why did Jerry come in?
We had an oil line jar loose when he went into the tire wall down here, and it started leaking. We had to tighten it up to get him back. Everything's okay now.
This is going to be a serious hindrance for the rest of the race?
Yeah, he'll be in for the rest of the race. He'll be good. Thanks.
Again, a full course yellow, and we are assuming that it is for Dick Danielson. He's right at the exit of the chicane in the back straightaway. It's not that it's such a high-speed area, but it's a portion of the racetrack where the drivers like to be able to use the entire width of the cement.
It's blind in that corner, Larry. That's over by the firehouse. And you actually commit the car into the corner before you can see the exit. You're already back in power. And I think that the teams were probably screaming over the radio to their crew chiefs, hey, we want to be able to see, get that car out of here. So in that case, normally what happens is the crew chiefs will contact one of the stewards in the pits and say, my driver's complaining about a car that's in the way out there.
Under full course yellow conditions here at Addison, Texas, here are the top 5. Irv Hare. Greg Pickett has now moved up to the runner-up spot. Running in 3rd position is Les Lindley. 4th on the course is Scott Sharp. For more information on SCCA Pro Racing, call 1-800-255-50. We'll be back with more action in the green flag from Addison, Texas after this.
It's hard to believe what life would be like without pencils, telephones, computers, and even paper clips. And yet these everyday products were created by people much like you. If you have an idea, invention, or new product you'd like to submit to industry, Invention Submission Corporation has a free inventor's kit to help you get started. The kit contains a form for recording and dating your invention, an information brochure, and other materials of interest to inventors. Invention Submission Corporation is one of America's largest invention service companies. We can show you how your invention can be packaged and submitted to industry. So call ISC now for your free inventor's kit.
For your free inventor's kit, call toll-free 1-800-525-1000. That's 1-800-525-1000.
It's pro football, World League style, and there's only one place to keep pace with all the action. This week in the World League on Prime Network. Available on most Prime Network affiliates.
This is a temporary course. Yes, they're on the streets of Addison, Texas. Yes, the racing is slow, but not this slow. They are under yellow flag conditions. This is the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas and Addison. This is a suburb on the north side of Dallas, Texas. The leader of the race is Irv Hare, but Greg Pickett right now runs in 2nd place. Now, although he's never retired, he doesn't run every season fully. Greg Pickett is one of the most successful drivers in Trans Am history. His 14 wins are the most of any active driver, but he has not raced full-time on the circuit since 1986. He ran only once since '89, a race he won, by the way. After a 2-year layoff, he won the pole in the year's first race at Sears Point, led much of the race, and then blew an engine. Was it hard to make a comeback, Greg?
I never get away from it. I've always studied racing real closely, and I've watched what's going on and the progress that's being made with chassis and stuff. And so when I got back with Charlie, we took a long look at that. And this is a series. I think one of the real strengths of this series is pulling together a series that's not real high tech.
With veteran crew chief Charlie Seelix organizing the team, Pickett put together 3 cars, also featuring Deborah Gregg and Steve Petty. Pickett's goals are simple: run every race, meet his team's expectations, and, oh yeah, one other thing, win the season points championship.
If the championship should happen, we're planning on that. We're prepared for that. We're going to work hard to do that. There's a lot of other real quality people here and some quality teams, and so we don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to give it our all, I'll tell you. Trans Am racing, to me, I've always really enjoyed it, and it's a very personal thing with me. It's we have a certain level of accomplishment that we're happy with, whether it's time or whether it's something for the team, and we keep focused on that. That's really like
Greg Pickett was the Division II Trans Am season champion back in 1978. Now Dennis is standing by with Bob Tullius.
This is one of the legends in road racing, Bob Tullius. Bob, I want to ask you, what is this yellow flag here? How does it affect the strategy, both with tire wear and fueling?
Well, it really doesn't affect us a great deal because we're not running up front, and we're really not anticipating running up front at this point. It will help us tighten up the field. It gives Scott a little chance to get in some traffic and work the car a little bit more. I really don't think it's going to affect our basic strategy at all.
What about the leaders out there? What do you think they're thinking out there?
Well, they're, of course, thinking in terms of saving tires and fuel. The fuel that really doesn't make much of a difference, but they're thinking in terms of saving tires. Probably on a day like today, which is pretty warm, they're thinking about saving themselves as well, Dennis.
What about the heat situation out there? There's less ventilation coming in because they're not at speed. Are they getting hot in there?
No, when under yellow, you can be a little bit more comfortable. Most of the heat you generate through excitement more than the heat of the car, and the fact that they're not having to pressurize themselves at this point cools them off. And there's the day, although it appears to be quite hot, I don't believe it's not 90, I don't think, today yet, and it's a fairly decent day for racing in those cars.
Well, glad to see you back here in the Trans Am pits, Bob.
We're delighted to be back for EDS and Pontiac, I can assure you.
Well, the EDS Group 44 Pontiac Trans Am started the race in 21st, and right now Scott Lagasse is running in 14th position, so he has definitely improved his position. As you can see, passing the crash car of Dick Danielson. We're still waiting for that car to be removed so we can go back to green flag conditions. Irv Hare with a breather continues to lead.
Arena Bowl. An indoor war on the floor. High scoring. Hard hitting. Iron Man football. To get closer to the action, you have to suit up. Arena football. Orlando and Detroit this weekend on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
Big wheels keep turning. Big wheel Rossi.
Add more life to your car. Use Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil. It helps keep engines clean and free from deposits. Get 5W30, 10W30, or 10W40 Texaco Haviland Formula 3 on sale, only 99 cents per quart.
Big wheels keep turning.
Get the message.
Big wheel Rossi.
Creative design excellence, technological advancement, space-age innovations, 21st century quality. It's the best in fitness, health, conditioning, toning, and muscle development. The Soloflex Muscle Machine. We've designed one for your body. Call now for a free brochure.
Well, Irv Hare is racking up some leading laps in the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. He'll take them, even though they're at 40 seconds. We're under yellow flag because of a crash. Now, this is a battle of driver against driver, but also V8 versus V6 engines.
V6 or V8? That's the question here from most of the competitors in the Trans Am Series. At the first race at the Serpentine Twisty Sears Point International Raceway, V6 powered cars dominated, coming in 1, 2, and 3. At the last round in Mexico, the ultra-fast Hermanos Rodriguez circuit catered to the V8 powered cars. So the obvious question here in Dallas, V6 or V8?
This track is a combination of, it's a good street circuit for the V6s because it's got some fast corners, and that's where the V6s shine. But it's also got some short drag races in the short chutes in the back, and that's where the V8 shines. So it should be a very good blend here, I think.
The Mexican track was a great track for the V8s, and I think Dallas is probably the tightest street circuit we run on the schedule, so I have to think it's a definite advantage for a V6 car. But it's a long race, full of attrition usually, and hopefully we'll be able to be up there towards the front.
The street circuits have been dominated by V6 cars. I think right now we have more parity amongst V6, V8 cars than we've seen in the past. The SCCA has done a great job in making that a fact and making sure that all the cars are competitive.
After 32 of 80 laps, well, here's the scoreboard, Doc Bundy. Irv Hare, it's a 6-cylinder. Pick it up from there.
V6. Greg Pickett's a V6. Les Lindley's a V8 this week. Scott Sharp's a V8. George Robinson, I believe, is a V6.
So the V6s are almost predictably doing reasonably well. Now, a guy like Pickett, he has a choice between V6s and V8s whenever he races, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has his chassis set up where he can convert it back to a V6 engine whenever he wants and take the weight back out of the car, because the extra weight they carry is just lead weight.
Doc, I'm curious, there didn't seem to be a consensus in that piece as to whether or not this was a V6 or a V8 track. Ron Fellows summarized it better than anybody, saying it's parity. Do you agree?
I agree. I think they've made so many gains in braking capability, and they've learned how to protect their tires. And really the whole key to this thing is doing what the tires like best. You can take a V8, like you pointed out earlier in the race, and maybe you just be a little easier in the corners because you can make it up on the straights. So you don't put as much stress on it. The V6s, on the other hand, even though they're lighter, may have a tendency to overcook in the corners, trying to make ground up.
This is the second string wrecker. The first one came out and was unable to remove Dick Danielson's wreckage. Dick is okay, by the way. It was just another one of those street course crashes. It was a hard hit, but I wouldn't classify it as a serious accident, but it has taken a little extra time to remove his debris from the racetrack. Let me put you on the spot. If you were given a choice of any of the cars that you saw this weekend practicing and qualifying in preparations for this Grand Prix at Dallas, which one would you have preferred to have sat in?
I would prefer to go with a V6, I think. I like the idea of a light package, and you can be, I think you can be a little more aggressive with the V6 on these same tires. And you just have to pay attention to what you've got, you know, how to protect it. Certainly on the for the long haul, though, it's hard to say. You know, some of those fast circuits, like the one in Mexico they just came off of, a V8 is awfully attractive when you can just blow around guys on a straightaway.
That's why Pickett's got such a good deal, the ability to pick and choose from race to race.
Absolutely.
Well, we are 31 laps now into this 80-lap race. The last 3 laps have been run under a caution flag. There's the reason. You see the field filing by in respect to Dick Danielson's car. Dick has stayed in the machine. You can see he is okay. The drivers are obviously anticipating a green flag the next time around. They're beginning that characteristic swish back and forth to heat their tires up, although I don't know that that is necessary today here in Dallas.
No, with the heat that we're dealing with is you don't really need to do much of that.
Dennis, what are they saying down in the pits about this tire situation?
One quick final note on that V8 versus V6 situation. I'm in the pits of Ron Fellows. He's a V8 competitor. These are the tires that are waiting for Ron's Mustang. One quick note, the V8 tires, because of the increased torque situation, tend to burn up a little bit more rubber here on the tight confines of the Dallas circuit and also the very hot pavement. So Ron Fellows in about 10 laps will be putting on some new rubber. The V8s do have a little bit of a disadvantage when it comes to tire wear.
Well, you cannot have motor races without business involvement, and AER is a very important business here in the Dallas area, and they have grown very important in racing. We talk with Bob McGraw of AER.
Down here in the pits, Bob McGraw, the president of AER, which is based right here in Dallas. What does your company do, and why are you connected to racing, Bob McGraw?
We remanufacture engines for both Ford and General Motors. We have a Ford area that's about a 5-state area, and we have the big block Chevrolet program for the nation for General Motors. And our factory's about 200 yards on the other side of the track there. We got involved in racing here because we had employee involvement and customer involvement. We started off about 4 years ago with one sticker on one car. We've now progressed through having a few races that we sponsored to a full-time sponsorship on the number 4 Ron Fellows AER Manufacturing Mustang. And we have a partial sponsorship on Bob Zeeb's car today. So we do it for our employees, basically here in Dallas, and for our customers, and for whatever national advertisement we can get from it.
And this becomes a test track for your products.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you very much. Bob McGraw, president of AER.
Thanks, Jim. Well, Ralph to us American Sanchez is happy that AER is here because see all those people right there? AER brought them, and it's always nice when a promoter sees a full grandstands.
Absolutely. Oh, and to the competitors, too. We like to see a lot of people out there.
We anticipate green flag the next time around. We kind of thought it might happen this time, but apparently that record did not get all the way around. The pace car leads yet another lap, and Irv Hare now seriously anticipating that we are going to go green flag. There'll be one more lap under yellow flag, and then we'll come back with green, and we'll be back with that green flag after this.
20 times last year, the world's best top fuelers fired it up in the final. And all 20 times, the outcome was exactly the same. Every single NHRA winner was powered by the same spark plug. Autolite, we feel pretty good about that.
Speed. Each second is critical. Acceleration. Each move determines a champion. Discover the real story behind the race with This Weekend Kart, the Chevrolet Motorsports Hour, AMA Championship Motocross, Indy Car World, and This Weekend NASCAR. It's every fan's dream, every racer's obsession. Thursday nights on Prime Network, available on most Prime affiliates.
It's not simply a game. It's an era of fitness, health, muscle development, body toning, beauty, and power. It's the era of Soloflex. Become a part of it. Call anytime for a free brochure.
The pride of the red and white maple leaf flag of Canada, Ron Fellows, pumping that accelerator and that clutch, trying to get ready to go here for green flag. He is rounding the final S corners on the north end of the racetrack, and you may be riding with him as this field goes green. Ron Fellows, who slipped back to 16th position, but easily one of the top 5 cars in Trans Am action in 1991. Irv Hare brings the field around. The Serpentine follows him, and we're back to green flag after an extensive yellow flag period because of the crash car of Dick Danielson.
I always like these restarts. You had a chance to cool down, kind of rejuvenate, and then everything's familiar when you start back up, and you can really start running aggressively again for a few laps before the temperatures gets up in the tires.
More often than not, it helps the cars, but there are those occasions, and it is not uncommon, but there are those occasions when slowing the pace, the car just doesn't like it and won't refire when you go green.
You have to be careful with the engine. You can load the engine up if you lug around in a tall gear. And you can foul a spark plug, and then it's just death trying to get that thing to clean back out.
All the cars will be making one pit stop today. This is an 80-lap Trans Am race. They cannot go the distance. One pit stop required in this one. And Irv Hare has dominated this race since taking over from early leader Scott Sharp. Scott continues to run competitive. There's Greg Pickett. I think you're going to get used to seeing that bright yellow, blue, green, and pink trim Greg Pickett in the 1991 season.
Greg's got a good operation, as we saw earlier, and he is a smart driver.
The number 66 of Jimmy Landrum, a local driver, Dallas, Texas racer. This is the Landrum Racing Chevy Camaro. He loses control out on course. Jimmy was running back in the 25th position. So he didn't have that much ground to lose, but still, you don't like to lose any of it. It was nice that a lot of the local drivers really supported the race this weekend, Doc. When we were down in Mexico City, very representative field, 22, 23 cars. But here at Dallas, Texas, over 30 cars. That was primarily because we had about 5 entries from the Dallas area.
You know, I think in the not too distant future, you're going to see this very similar to NASCAR races, where they'll actually limit the number of cars they'll start in a race, and they're going to be battling just to make the field. This is going to become one of the most popular road racing series in this country, simply because the racing is very good and the cars are affordable.
And the cars are very popular to the American public again. When we went through the oil crunch about 15 years ago, they lost their popularity, but now they are coming back.
Darren, you saw try to make a move on Sobey. He just can't quite pull it off. I think that probably comes from the fact of that V6 versus the V8. Down that straightaway, the V8 just pulled him back.
You are watching tight racing action from Addison, Texas. You are live on Prime Network, and this is the third stop on the 1991 Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. There is Ron Fellows moving to the inside of Darren Brassfield. That's Bob Patch right behind him in the Corvette, and they are following Jack Baldwin. The racing is getting very tight, a lot of changes, and there is Lou Gelati. This is the second incident Gelati has had out on course today. He was running in the top 5, and Doc, this one looks pretty serious.
Yeah, it appears to me that he just got into this first turn too deep, too hard, and lost it and spun around.
There is Darren Brassfield's rear taillights through the eyes of Ron Fellows. You can see the taillights are working. Now, I am told that sometimes the crews will fiddle with those, and those taillights aren't always a perfect indication. And Fellows, in the chicane, makes a pass on Darren Brassfield. Fellows has really turned up the wick.
You know, I think Darren's got a problem. And what the first thing that comes to mind is he just looks like he's being a little tentative into the corners, and it could be a tire going soft. He may have picked up a puncture during that caution.
Well, he would like to get to that mandatory pit stop. I started to say that sometimes those taillights are hooked up, and I am told they're not always a true indication of when the driver is on the brakes.
Yeah, well, there's stories that certain teams have switches on the brake lights.
Another sad story. George Robinson, a terrific qualifying time. This guy has a lot of experience in IMSA racing. He was the 4th fastest qualifier today. And there's George. He slams the outside wall very hard at the rear end of the car. And fortunately for him, there was an escape road shortly after that contact with the wall.
You know, you're seeing a lot of mistakes right after that caution. And a lot of this can come from just heat. That heat build up, and then you get a little bit sloppy afterwards. You're hot, and you're tired, and you're not concentrating at the same level. And then all of a sudden, there you get it.
Well, we may have an update on Darren Brassfield's situation. He's in the pits. Dennis, an update. Well, Darren Brassfield has come to a stop. Now, the yellow flag is out, so this might be a significant advantage for Darren. He makes a brief stop down there, and Dennis will find out exactly what the problem was. But you see the field has gone by, but Dennis is going to lose very little track space because a number of cars have been lapped, Doc. You see the pace car allows him to go by. The pace car is waiting for the leaders to come around, and that's why they've allowed Darren to pass by.
Yeah, that's kind of saved it for him, but, you know, obviously he was in the pits because of a problem. I'm not sure that they've solved it yet.
Well, you indicated that you saw him slowing down significantly just before he came into the pits. From our announced position, incidentally, we have seen Lou Gelati walking back to the pit area. Lou is in pretty good shape. He appears to be talking with one of the SCCA officials. Very hot, tired, and fatigued, but at least exited that race car under his own power. So very disappointed, but obviously healthy, Lou Gelati.
Yeah, even when we're under caution, you usually want to hurry around to get caught back up, and Darren's really not hurrying around at this point. I wonder if he doesn't have a fairly serious problem here. Doesn't really appear to be tired because the car looks like it's setting up well on all four corners. So it may be a gearbox or something like that.
Darren Brassfield with the Neo Life sponsorship on that Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. That's part of the family business. The family has been very successful in business. Now Jim is standing by in the pits.
We're down here with Lou Gelati now in the infield, who went right by that first turn. He's talking to the PA announcer. We can see what can happen, and we'll talk to him. Lou?
Coming back up through the pack after the yellow, I got by one car, and I guess I just didn't clean my tires off good enough. But like I said yesterday in the Camaros that we ran in the SS class, car didn't miss a heartbeat all day, and it's just a great Chevrolet Camaro, and we're just tickle pink, and I love Trans Am.
You okay, Lou?
Sure am, except we need more money.
Let's go back to you guys.
Well, Lou Gelati with the plaintiff cry. Now there is the car of George Robinson, who apparently met a similar fate to Gelati. Gelati had his problem in corner number 1. That's at the end of the long airport straightaway. Gelati, of course, in the checkerboard black and white number 20. But he really did have a good day, Doc. Gelati, he's got to be satisfied to one point, but of course very disappointed in himself in the final analysis.
Exactly, and his reason to exit was probably just lack of experience.
Well, there is Darren Brassfield, who's digging to make up ground. He slowed perceptibly just before this yellow flag. Then he came into the pits, and it really was a stroke of luck. He was able to get his pit stop in, and he stays on the lead lap.
Looking good, you want Bud Light. The clean, fresh taste won't fill you up and never let you down.
Well, you can taste it, you can feel it, you know you got it right. Everything else is just keep your Bud Light shining. Bud Light.
A company can learn a lot in 125 years. Valvoline has. You learn in the lab, you learn on the road, you learn on the racetrack. As you learn, you make your product better. And better and better. Today's Valvoline will keep your engine cleaner than ever before. And cleaner means more protection against engine wear. 125 years of quality. That's why people who know use Valvoline.
SCCA Pro Racing, taking you on the ultimate road trip.
Free sports watch with your order of Hot Boats, the video. Hydroplanes ripping through the water at 200 miles per hour. Experience the power and the danger in this one-of-a-kind video for only $19.95. Hot Boats, the video. Call now. Ask for the Hot Boats video and your free sports watch. Call now.
Call 1-800-647-5555. That's 1-800-647-5555.
This is the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas and Addison. This is the 1991 SCCA Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. You're looking at Darren Brassfield. Now, Darren's life has changed a little bit, his racing life. He's on a multi-car team this year. Now, we asked him earlier, what does the team concept mean to him? It's hard to think of race drivers as a team, but in the eyes of the Team Rocket Sports Olivetti Oldsmobile stable, Darren Brassfield, Irv Hare, and Paul Gentilossi are as much a team as the Boston Celtics.
Well, there's always an advantage to it based on if the team wins, we all win. We need to look at the championship. You know, we can't select one race and go from there. We need to finish in every race and do the job that we can do with our car as individuals, and hopefully at the end of the season we'll be there. If I can't do it, I certainly want one of my teammates to get the job done.
Despite the friendly competition, Brassfield says he wouldn't hold back at any cost if victory came down to the final lap against one of his teammates.
If you looked at my nose in my car, it says on the front of it, crunch all you want, will it make more? So I'm going to just knock the nose off trying to get to the front.
Darren Brassfield started this season out with a win at Sears Point. That seems to be his racetrack. He has done very well there for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, he dropped down to a 15th place finish at Mexico City. Now, there are the remains of the black and white checkerboard number 20 that had a pretty good ride today. We heard from Lou Gelati out on the grass just about 20 feet or so from his car, and Lou has joined us in the broadcast booth. We were curious, Doc and I, was it a disappointing day, or were you satisfied because you were so competitive?
Well, I was definitely satisfied because we were running up in the top 5. There's some real tough competitors up there, and I take my hat off to them, and I've got a lot of respect for them. I hope that the next time we take the car out, I'll get a little respect from them.
How was the course today, Lou? Was it slippery?
Not too bad. After the yellow was when I found it most slippery. It's my first race in Trans Am, and we had our brake bias just a little off, and I'm not sharp enough yet to get it picked out real fast. So that was what caused the first spin when I made my way up to, I think, 4th or 5th. I don't know what I was in, but not too slippery, not too bad. I wish I was out there again. It doesn't look slippery now.
Was it horsepower or the weight difference that was so different to handle?
Actually, compared to the cars I've been driving,
yes.
Actually, the horsepower was a pleasure. The horsepower was a pleasure. The car handled great. It's actually lighter than a street car.
At the 39 lap, I believe this is the 40th lap. I don't think timing and scoring is picked on yet. Halfway point, the green flag finally does come out. Yes, it is. The 40th lap, and now Irv Hare will have to tiptoe. Be careful. They've been under 2 yellow flag periods in a space of about 15 minutes. The tires are cool. Everybody has lost their rhythm. You heard Lou Gelati make mention of it. Doc Bundy mentioned it earlier. And this may be like nearly one of the most dangerous moments of the race.
Absolutely. Everybody's hot, and they're coming off a little bit of a rest. And like Lou found out, the tires are not up to temperature yet. They still got a lot of crap on them. You got to be doubly careful on these first couple laps till the temperature comes back in the tires.
Now, Lou, about 15 minutes ago, you were in this situation. Does the car feel differently after a long yellow flag?
It just was really sliding pretty good, and I outbroke. I'm not sure which car, Petty, I think it was, and just the tires didn't have the grip that they had. I broke at my normal point, went a little too far, and he repassed me, and then coming down the pit straight was where I was right on his tail, and he just broke a little too early, but it's just tremendously slippery, much more slippery than I had even expected.
In one lap, the gate will open, the green light gate on the pits. All the cars will then be allowed to make their one mandatory pit stop. It is not required that they stop at that point, but that's where they will be allowed. We are now told that this car, Ron Fellows, has moved up to 7th position. Recall they had dropped all the way back to 9th. Scott Sharp, the report says, is now in the pits. He is the first among our leaders to come in. Wow, that was close. The window was supposed to start at lap 42. I assume this made it. We've had an incident out on track. Scott Legacy and Randy Ruhlman. That's on the airstrip. Looks like corner number 2.
Evidently, one of them was trying to go under the other one, and they tapped.
Yeah, they did.
And got them both.
Lou, you just came from this race. And now we understand, I'll come back to Lou in just a second, that was an on-schedule pit stop for Scott Sharp. So a dramatic moment in the race. Here is a man that I think a lot of us felt really was the favorite to win because of the race that he was driving in the first half of the race. And this was indeed an on-scheduled stop for Scott. Lou, I was about to ask you, you were within shouting distance of the leaders. Could you tell, now this is Hare coming in, it is a routine stop. Who among the leaders looked like he might have been the most strong?
At that point, when I was up there, it looked like the Oldsmobile, but there were really 4 of us that were pretty darn close, and it would have been a good race. Would have been a good race.
Irv Hare with the routine pit stop. A little bit of a delay getting out of there, but by and large, Doc, a good stop. What do you think?
That was a pretty good stop. Just a little bit of fumbleness on the restart. He didn't have enough gas in it when he started to let the clutch out. You know, the thing kind of surprised me, there was no tire change. So obviously those wheels are going with one set of tires for the entire race.
He truly was the first among the leaders to come in. You see him back now with some of the lap traffic. And the word from the pit area is that Scott Sharp, there's one of the crew members from his teammate, Jack Baldwin, that Scott Sharp is out of today's race. So he came in with a 6th position and a 1st place at Mexico City and the points lead, but he will not leave Dallas, Texas in the lead of the 1991 Trans Am season. That is unless Ron Fellows, Darren Brassfield, Jack Baldwin, and Jim Durhag all drop out. Now this does move the Cytomax sponsored car up to the front position, but Greg, of course, has to make a pit stop yet. But Pickett finds himself in the lead for the first time today. Greg Pickett, who despite the fact that he has run in most of the last 13 Trans Am seasons, has only run a full season twice. This will only be the 3rd time in his career that he has run a full Trans Am season. We have some more stories developing down in the pits. Let's go there.
Leader Scott Sharp pulled his Duracell Camaro in the wall, and it's over today. Scott, what happened?
Well, I'm not really sure. The car was running great. We were taking care of the tires, and just went around the back section of the course, and the car started to slide towards the wall. It felt like the right front tire had come off, and I lost most of my brake pedal. And when I came in, they said we broke a right front control arm. So unfortunately, I think we're done for the day in the Duracell Camaro.
Young Scott Sharp certainly is one of the stars of the future in American road racing, and undoubtedly he has his sights set on a number of mountains to climb in motor racing. But Scott does indeed have a very nice future in front of him. There is Greg Pickett. He is the temporary leader. We'll find out exactly where he stands vis-a-vis the pit stops. All the leaders will have to stop. Pickett, Sobey, Fellows, Lindley, and Bob Patch. Right now, those are the first 5.
If you're hounded by a disobedient dog, now you can control your pet with Pet Trainer, the electronic pet training tool that works like magic. Just give the desired command and press the button. Pet Trainer emits an ultrasonic sound that you can't hear, but that commands your dog's attention. Harmless but effective, your dog will snap to attention and listen to your command the very first time you use it. Pet Trainer works great for cats, too. Don't let a nightmare like this happen. Pet Trainer trains pets for their own safety. And use Pet Trainer for your own safety as well.
The use of ultrasonic sound is humane and extremely effective.
Imagine a playful pet you can be proud of. Order Pet Trainer, the safe, effective way to train your pet. Only $29.95.
Sorry, no CODs. Credit card users call toll-free 1-800-542-0700 or send just $29.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Pet Trainer Box 500-X, Verona, New Jersey 07044. Credit card users call now 1-800-542-0700.
The speed, the power. Get the inside story on America's favorite thrill sport. Join host Eli Gold for This Week in NASCAR. Live from Sonoma, Thursday night at 11 Eastern on Prime Network.
Back in Dallas, Texas, and the leaders are now coming in for their one required mandatory pit stop, interrupting their race today. Here is our in-car camera. This is Canadian Ron Fellows, who right now is in second place, but he has not stopped yet. But the interesting thing about Fellows is he has climbed all the way from 20th well inside the top 5. Where he'll be after all of the leaders stop, we don't know yet. But for sure, he is doing very well. And right now, he's being scored as the leader. But again, he has yet to make that one required stop. Well, Lou Gelati, you had a great day. Does this mean that your team is going to be back for more Trans Am races this season?
I certainly hope so. So I really want to thank my car owner, Mike Maloney of San Antonio, Texas, for giving me the opportunity. I really want to thank Chevrolet and everyone for the chance of doing this.
Well, Lou, it was a great ride. I know it was basically a classroom today, and we hope to see you later on in the 1991 season. Dennis Torres is keeping up to date on all the leaders as they come into the pits.
Larry,
good job.
Darren Brassfield has been in twice. He did not take on tires. He did not take on gas. What he did take on is fluids. He is running without a cool suit. He has no bottle in the car. He can't take liquids until he comes into the pits, and he is suffering from overheating.
So, some drama, unexpected drama with the Darren Brassfield team. Yes, all these drivers are in pretty decent shape, particularly Darren, kind of a robust guy, a young fellow with lots of experience. Darren is extremely well prepared from a personal standpoint to race, but without all of the comforts that modern life can provide, because all the other drivers have them, Doc. If you don't have one, you cannot keep up.
Yeah, I found that out yesterday. Boy, it's tough out there without a cool suit, especially it's not so much the temperature, but the humidity here in Texas is brutal, and it just you can barely breathe after about 20 minutes.
Well, our second pit reporter is Jim Hendricks, and Jim, let's bring us up to date on your end of the pit.
We've seen some fantastic pit stops. They're mandatory. 8 seconds for Les Lindley's team, 7 seconds for Greg Pickett's team, about 12 seconds for the Saleen team. They're in and out of here like a bullet. Lots of action. Back to you guys in the booth.
And Jim, those are interesting statistics, because we believe that Irv Hare's stop might have been a little slower. He stumbled a little bit getting out, and I'm very anxious to see Ron Fellows come in when he comes back out after his pit stop. Then we'll know where everybody stands in this race.
Right now, it's a little confusing to really see where everybody is until they've gotten their mandatory pit stop out of the way.
There's Steve Petty. He is in. I believe that is Deborah Gregg's car that is sitting there. That car is out of the race. Steve Petty, a teammate to Deborah Gregg and Greg Pickett, pulls away. And looking at the electronic leader board, Wayne Akers is right now being shown in second position. And there's a spin. There's Petty. He just exited the pits. Steve Petty went out of the pits, went around corner number 1, went off course and spun out. Cold tires, inexperienced drivers in Trans Am.
And as we were walking over to the booth today, I told you that first turns are bugger when you leave the pit lane, because it's really kind of tight on you, and it's a little bit blind. It just goes over at the slightest of rises. And if you're not careful, you won't see where you are.
Well, Steve Petty is the 1990 SCCA GT1 national champion. Cars very similar to Trans Am cars. He's a graduate of the Jim Russell School of British Motor Racing. He has some experience in ARS cars, so he's a veteran race car driver, although this is his first full season in these cars. And it does take a while whenever you move to any other division to learn how to run those cars.
Absolutely. You got to learn what the car behaves like on these tires and with this engine configuration. And I worked with Steve a little bit back at Road Atlanta when I was doing some teaching, and he has a tendency to be a little aggressive.
Well, age sometimes tones that down. You get bit a couple times, plus you get closer to that age 30. You slow down just a tad, don't you?
I think so. The pain isn't worth it anymore. Here we're with Greg Pickett. I think Greg's in second place right now.
Second on the board, but essentially leading this race when you think about it, because Fellows hasn't pitted yet.
Exactly, and that's, you know, just before Irv's stop, it appeared to me that Greg was kind of all over the back of Irv, like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. So right now, I kind of think that Greg looks to be in the best position.
Doc, here's what we're showing. Fellows leading the race, yet to stop. Pickett running in second place, 49 of 80 laps complete. Third place is Sobey, and I think that that is accurate as the second running car in the race, because Bob was in the top 10, had a very efficient pit stop. Fourth on the board is the number 8 of Les Lindley. Fifth on the board is Irv Hare. And the only one car in those top 5 has yet to pit, and that is Fellows. It'll be all dependent upon how quickly Fellows can get into and out of the pits. There he is. We anticipate his stop any moment now. We'll be back to cover it for you.
I guess I like things that go fast.
Experience life on the NASCAR circuit as you've never seen before. Call now and order Bill Elliott Racing to Victory and see what life is like for Bill Elliott in and out of Victory Lane. Meet the men responsible for the high technology and the marketing of the man known as $1 Million Bill.
It's $1 Million Bill from Dawsonville. Look out, the bird is on the loose again. He's got one thing on his mind, driving Coors number 9 down to Victory Lane at the end. Yes, this $1 Million Bill from Dawsonville. Look out, the bird is on the loose again. And he's got one thing on his mind, driving Coors number 9.
Order Bill Elliott Racing to Victory. Don't wait, call now.
To order, call 1-800-821-1000. That's 1-800-821-1000. 1-800-821-1000.
In Australia, there's wild beaches, the Outback, and Aussie rules football. Full out, full blown, full contact football. The hardest hits, the awesome kicks, and the man in white. There's nothing like it. Australian rules football. It's a kick. Friday afternoons at 5 on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
Greg Pickett continues to lead as Ron Fellows now has made his one mandatory pit stop. And Doc, you flinched a little bit. He hit that curb very hard in the chicane.
Yeah, those curbs are kind of high, and you don't want to be bouncing off the curbs. That's a good way to puncture a tire or bend a suspension piece. So be careful. Greg, you've got the lead now. Don't throw it away.
Greg Pickett, at least temporarily here, still a long ways to go. 30 of 80 scheduled laps remain in this race, but Pickett is in control of the race at this point. He has made his pit stop. Bob Sobey has moved up to second position. The Phoenix, Arizona driver in his Camaro. It's basically, let's call him one of the independents, although very few people are fortunate to have direct factory help nowadays in Trans Am racing. But Sobey runs second. Irv Hare is third. Ron Fellows pulled out right in the middle of them. He is battling with them. Second, third, and fourth are very close on the racetrack. And in fifth place, unofficially, is the number 28 of Jack Baldwin. Bob Patch is showing up there in fifth, but he has yet to make his pit stop yet.
Jerry Clinton is going to lose some points and favoritism to Greg Pickett right now. As you can see, Greg can't quite get around. He's going to out-deep him into the chicane.
John Anderson moves. It's not John Anderson. That's the number 66 car of Jimmy Landrum. Almost moved over too far. Almost coming to a stop. Pickett in heavy traffic. Goes underneath. There is John Anderson in the Cerrone Foods car. Now he's approaching Jerry Brassfield, who had a lengthy premature pit stop today. And Brassfield doesn't move over. He takes the apex of that corner. Pickett will have to pass him as they go through the sweepers. There's Phil Bartlett doing a couple of 360s in both directions, or 180s.
It appears to be turn 2 over there, and you know, from this point on, Larry, I think you're going to start seeing some spins and some people touching walls and jumping curbs and that sort of thing, because they're getting hot and tired, and it's going to start showing up now.
There is Bob Sobey. We commented to you earlier that he was running in second place, and he is running very strongly out there. There's Darren Brassfield going around Bob Patch, who has yet to stop. Brassfield is trying to move up. Baldwin is being shown in fifth position. There's Sobey, the runner-up in this race. And remember, Fellows, our in-car camera, and Irv Hare, the leader of this race before the round of pit stops, are in third and fourth and trying to chase Sobey. There's Fellows on the right-hand side of your screen, and there's Irv Hare right behind him.
They're now working their way past the guys that just were handled by Greg just a lap or so ago. So they're fairly close here.
Now, Doc, at this point, with all the ground, particularly that Irv Hare lost in the pit stop, I would almost be thinking, yeah, I've lost some ground. Probably I'm not going to be able to catch Pickett if the radio and the people in the pits are giving me correct information. You know, I've got a better than 50% chance of a yellow flag in this race. I want to improve my position as much as I possibly can, but not go crazy going after Pickett.
Well, I think what he wants to do at this point is he wants to try to, if his car is still under him, it's still strong under him, then he wants to move up as close as he can get so that he can put pressure on him. And I think his biggest problem is that Ron Fellows is thinking the same thing. You're not getting by me. If you're going to get by, you're going to have to do it cleanly.
Ron Fellows with a wave to Jerry Clinton. Jerry did move over for Ron, and Ron was able to continue to stay hot on the trail of Bob Sobey. Leader Greg Pickett. Pit stops are done. That is now out of the picture. Second place, Bob Sobey. Like in Mexico, when Scott Sharp really benefited from the one pit stop, Bob Sobey has benefited from it here. Third place, our in-car camera of Ron Fellows, and fourth is now being shown as Darren Brassfield, but I'm sure that is the number 6 of Irv Hare. Dennis, down in the pits.
Guys, before the race, everyone was talking about tire wear. Well, guess what? The leaders have come in, and no one has taken on new tires. Question to the booth, could it be that the long yellows have prolonged tire life here and changed the strategy?
Doc Bundy, what do you think?
Well, I think a little bit, but more than that, I think the fact that several of the lead teams that I talked to this morning, we're going to go with the 600 compound, the little bit harder compound, as 92 does their spin recovery again here. And by using that harder compound, yes, the cautions do help that tire because you can cool it back down.
Well, Phil Bartlett in that black number 92, the Milwaukee, Wisconsin driver in the Bartlett Racing Ford Mustang, is having a real adventure here in the second half of the race. But these street courses get very tricky, and unless you have years and years of experience and laps under your Trans Am belt like Pickett does, or have a car that's not performing just right, these places are mighty tough.
Absolutely. They allow no room for error. And if you become over-exuberant or get just a little bit clumsy, it's a wall that takes you out. And the walls are very unforgiving. The section that Greg is just going through here, it's like racing down a tunnel because you can't see around the turn. You just hope that there's nothing on the road or nobody sideways around that blind corner. It's tough on a street course.
Interestingly enough, the television camera actually widens the course. It is only a two-lane road. There is Jack Baldwin and Darren Brassfield. They are running, and now there's Bob Patch. He has spun out and come into contact with the wall. Now, if that car does not move, it's difficult to tell where he's at this point. The car is moving under its own power, so we will avoid a yellow flag, but that looked like one of those situations that could have resulted in a yellow. Bob is trying to move out of harm's way. He finds an escape road, and Bob Patch finds an escape hatch and gets out of the way.
That was smart on his part. I think he might have been over by the chicane. And there's a little escape road if you can't make it into the chicane. Jack and Darren are having quite a good battle right here.
Well, now the electronic scoring is giving us some different information, Doc, than what we had earlier. They have moved Ron Fellows back to 13th, which is consistent with information that we had inside the first 40 laps of this race. Now they're saying that Fellows is not running in third position, but they are giving it to Irv Hare. That's electronic scoring, and now we're getting some conflicting information on the radio, so no one really knows for sure, I guess, but the consensus is that Fellows is in third with Irv Hare in fourth and Jack Baldwin right there. There is Baldwin moving to the inside of Ron Fellows and Darren Brassfield trying to move by.
I think they both made a very good pass there. And you can see Darren isn't going to give up either. Well, Jack let him through. It's great riding in this position here with Ron because we can watch some of the racing go on.
So the plight of Ron Fellows is somewhat in question here today. Ron Fellows, who had an incident inside the first 40 laps of the race, even though, again, he was one of the fastest cars, did move up, but now he has been passed by some other cars running inside of the top 10. One thing we know for sure is Greg Pickett leads this race and Bob Sobey runs in second. We're live from Dallas, Texas.
Genuine draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Stay ahead of the pack. This Week in NASCAR gives you the chance to talk with your favorite racers, from Darrell Waltrip to Dale Earnhardt, Ricky Rudd to Ken Schrader.
And this week, Darrell Waltrip will be joining us as NASCAR heads west to the 12-turn road course. Join us from Sonoma, California this Thursday.
This Week in NASCAR, live from Sonoma, Thursday night at 11 Eastern on Prime Network.
For redefining excellence in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, the Great One, was named Athlete of the Decade. Now available for the first time in home video, a collection of the greatest moments of his career. From a farm boy dreaming of being the best to a man called the greatest athlete in the history of team sports, Wayne Gretzky, above and beyond. To order your copy for $19.95 plus tax, shipping, and handling, call 1-800-654-0700 now.
This is Addison, Texas, the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas in Addison, and Greg Pickett, a California driver who has made a comeback to Trans Am racing. This is about, what, his 51st comeback in Trans Am series. Greg has run most of the Trans Am seasons of the last decade and a half, but only 3 times, as we told you earlier, has he applied himself and a team to a full season. This is one of those times, and everybody's keeping an eye on that team. They think that he is the one they got to beat for the points championship. This is Steve Petty, another California driver. He is the best prospect we have for Rookie of the Year this year, but his race has ended. Dennis Torres down in the pit.
Royce McGee is the crew chief for Ron Fellows' car. What happened out there? Looks like you lost a couple of places in the last lap.
Yeah, our radios, he can't talk to me anymore, but I can still talk to him. And we're just we still got 22 laps to go here. We got a little bit of time to make up on these guys. Maybe they'll run their tires off. We never know. We just have to wait and see here. Our AER Ford Mustang's doing real good for us. So.
Here is his driver, Ron Fellows, who has had a very fast day, albeit an eventful one. And Fellows is now inside of the top 5. He has moved up to 4th position now. That Ford Mustang is one of the V8 powered cars. We'll find out just how much he has left here in the last 22 laps of this race.
I think, Larry, he's just backed off on his pace. He feels his tires starting to go. Probably they're spinning.
Here's Jerry Clinton, who has come into contact with the wall. You can see the skid marks, and he ruined somebody's publicity and marketing for the weekend.
Oh, yeah, and he's got a flat tire, so he's going to have trouble just getting that car moved around, get it out of the way.
There's Les Lindley going by, Richard Valentine. There was Steve Saleen, Randy Ruhlman, the rest of the cars getting by. Yellow flag is only in that area. This is not a full course yellow, as Jerry Clinton is looking to find a way to get out of the way.
SCCA Pro Racing, taking you on the ultimate road trip.
Why are beers that go down lightly watered down so heavily? Why? Ask why. Turn off the water and turn Bud Dry. Its smooth draft taste is dry brewed, not watered down. To drink light, yet satisfy completely. So why get soaked when you can drink Bud Dry?
In Australia, there's wild beaches, the Outback, and Aussie rules football. Full out, full-blown, full-contact football. The hardest hits, the awesome kicks, and the man in white. There's nothing like it. Australian rules football. It's a kick. Friday afternoons at 5 on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates. Follow America's top amateur athletes all the way to Olympic gold on Prime Network. All summer, we'll canvass the nation looking for tomorrow's superstars. Experience the intense competition as these young sportsmen challenge the world with their talent. The excitement of track and field. The grace of gymnastics, and the fervor of swimming and diving. It's all here as Olympic hopefuls compete on Prime Network.
We're in Dallas, Texas. This is the Trans Am Series for 1991, and the most important and dramatic moment of today's race has just happened. We theorized about this about 15 minutes ago. It is a full course yellow. Greg Pickett gained a tremendous advantage on the rest of the field during this pit stop, and now look where second place Irv Hare is. He's going to pull right up on his back bumper. There's the third running car coming up. The complexion of this race has changed. It's gone all the way back to actually the start, the green flag. Now here are the point standings so far in 1991 on the Liquid Tide Trans Am Tour. Scott Sharp out of the race. Fellows still in the top 5. Darren Brassfield and Jack Baldwin tied for 3rd, and in 5th is Jim Durhag. Conditions here in Addison, Texas this week have not been conducive to motor racing. It has been very hot.
This says hot no, which means you can't cross the track. They're out there practicing or they're getting ready for the race. But actually, hot no, come on. It's hot yes. This is the hottest track, temperature-wise, on the SCCA Tour, Dallas, Texas. In fact, it's been so hot that drivers have been known to collapse once they get out of their cars.
Well, me, physical conditioning. I'm 50 years old, and I've been working at this thing for about 6-7 months, getting myself into physical condition. I think I'm probably as good at physical condition as probably anybody on the racetrack out there.
But the really important thing, too, is to be sure and hydrate yourself before the race, because you lose a tremendous amount of body fluids. The inside temperature of these cars run in the neighborhood of 140 degrees, and with the outside ambient temperature and high humidity, it can really drain you toward the end of a race.
So now we've heard from the drivers how to keep cool. But for sportscasters like myself or the fans watching the race here today, we find shade and coolness wherever we can. In this case, we're in Jerry Clinton's Michelob Dry Private Coach, having an iced tea. Not too bad.
Hey, Doc, I thought the guys in the booth were supposed to have the easy chair for these races. Here's Hendrick down there living a life of luxury.
And iced tea's my drink. I'll have one, Jim.
Okay, this is Prime Network, and we are at the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas and Addison. Addison, Texas is one of the more swank suburbs, I must say, of Dallas, Texas. We're on the north side, and it's been a very pleasurable weekend. The architecture around here is very contemporary. The host has been great. Ralph Sanchez, who is sanctioning this race, has been very gracious, and it's really been a very pleasant week. And as road courses go, this is always one that you look forward to coming to.
Absolutely. They have some of the nicest restaurants and the best looking women in the country.
And they're all very close. The restaurants, that is, right? We are 62 laps into this 80-lap race, and as we told you just before we went to a couple of those previously recorded bites that we just gave you, this is an entirely new race. We'll find exactly how good of work the crews did in the pit stops, because Irv Hare has been given a reprieve. Remember when we told you it was probably prudent to be conservative, even though he was so far behind, that on a street course like this you often get yellows? Well, that has happened. Now Jim Hendricks, he has been given somewhat of a break also under this hectic conditions. He's down in the pits.
We're back working where it's hot, and speaking of hot, down in the pits, O.B. Marsh. Mr. Marsh is the crew chief of the Jimmy Landrum Racing Team. You are now about 16th or 17th place back in the pack. You're a local favorite, but why were you made to have a pit stop earlier?
Well, they give us the meatball flag, and which means come in, they need to make a ruling on the car. They were trying to tell us that we had a broken axle or a problem in the car. They failed to tell me. They're supposed to notify the crew chief before they bring a car in. They didn't. They brought us in. We sat around. We couldn't figure out why they wanted us here. They finally came over, looked at the car, and told us, hey, if it'll spin both tires, take it back out. The only problem we had, we were spinning the oil out on the track. Other cars dumped oil down. We were loose on the oil. They penalized us for it, so we have to suffer. But we're just hanging in there, trying to make a good show. We just want to be there at the end.
Still under the yellow. Let's go back up to the announce booth.
The Jimmy Landrum number 66 Camaro here at Addison, Texas. Greg Pickett continues to lead the race. There you see the second place car of Irv Hare. Darren Brasfield, Mr. Speed, now moves up to third. Bob Sobey is fourth, and Jack Baldwin with another solid race. Information on SCCA Pro Racing, call 1-800-255-5550.
June is alive with pro sports on Prime Network. Live auto racing is here with 3 power-packed events. First, it's SCCA Pro Racing featuring the Trans Am Tour. Then the Grand National Driver Series follows a road course in Watkins Glen. NASCAR's best go to school to challenge defending champ Chucky Bound. Come indoors for bone-crushing body checks. Arena football is live every weekend. On the greens, Golf Week previews the U.S. Open live. Plus, European PGA action is headlined by the Dunhill British Masters. Then prepare for Albertville when the United States top players compete for gold.
Now for Amati. Here's McEachran. McEachran cutting in. Sean McEachran scores!
June is alive and exciting on Prime Network. The speed, the power. Get the inside story on America's favorite thrill sport. Join host Eli Gold for This Week in NASCAR. Live from Sonoma, Thursday night at 11 Eastern on Prime Network.
all-time leading winner in the Trans Am division is Mark Donohue with 29 career victories. Bob Tullius, who has a car entered in today's race, is second. Peter Gregg is third. Willie T. Ribbs, who participated in the Indianapolis 500-mile race a week ago, is fourth. And the fifth leading winner of all times is leading this race, Greg Pickett. He had 14 coming into this season, and he hopes to add to that total today. Greg Pickett leads with 63 laps officially complete. We've been under yellow flag for the third time in a lengthy way today. Right now we're still there, but the drivers are anticipating going green shortly. We still have a minimum of 15 green flag laps left.
I'll tell you, somebody that's happy right now is Julie Brassfield, Darren's wife. She's watching this at home on Prime Network. And I promised I would say hello to you, Julie, from Darren. So there you are. And I know you're happy because he's sitting up there in the gunner's spot now.
And Darren knew nothing about the pretty girls in Dallas to which you referred earlier.
Absolutely not. He's been back to his hotel early and working hard in the pits.
Because Doc knows he's been with them every minute of the weekend. Now that's dangerous.
Yes, yes. Well, the only trouble we got in was going to a golf course and missing our tee time, so we didn't get to play.
All right. We had a very full weekend of racing here at Addison, and Dennis Torres is down in the pit area, and we have an update on Scott Sharp.
That's right, Larry. Guess what? Scott Sharp, his car is refueled, he's cooled off, and he's going back into the competition. Now, I can only figure that he's running for points here or prestige, or he just wants to show off the Duracell banner. But again, the pole sitter, who was out for quite a bit, is going back into the competition.
That has got to be the longest pit stop of 1991 so far.
So far. But, you know, he made a good point in that he may be just checking the car out to see, you know, before the next race. At least he'll know if the car is repaired and working again. And I imagine he'll stay out of the way pretty much of the leaders, and he just wants to find out what his car has got in it. And remember, they're going for a championship, so it's the long haul. If he comes out of this with 1 or 2 points, then it's worth the effort. It could mean the difference at the end of the season.
Scott Sharp is 23 laps in arrears, and as Doc pointed out, points are important, but also the best testing days are when you have that opportunity, or the forced opportunity, to test during racing conditions. There's Jerry Clinton. He's found a way. It's not as aerodynamic as it started out, but at least the engine is cooler.
Sometimes that puts more heat into the cockpit when you run without a hood,
because the heat from the engine is now flowing right up, coming through the dashboard and right into your face. Pace car pulls into the pits. Here are the top 5. It's Pickett, Hare, Brassfield, Sobey, Jack Baldwin as we go back to green flag. You can see second place is side by side going into the number 1 corner only momentarily. It's teammates. That's Greg Pickett, Irv Hare, and Darren Brassfield. And Irv Hare definitely looking to get around Greg Pickett. They're side by side into corner number 2. Irv Hare moves Greg Pickett out of the line. Pickett trying to protect his position from Darren Brassfield. Darren is digging. He's on the inside. He's got the line. And first place immediately gets shuffled back to third.
Oh, that's frustrating to be in Greg's position right now. You get just nosed out of turn 2, and you can see what happens when you're forced offline. The road's just not wide enough to keep your foot in the power.
And Darren saw what was happening. Instead of forcing the issue with Irv, he followed him through, knowing that if Irv got through and he was right on his bumper, he would have a shot at Greg Pickett. Now we're going to see the possibility of teammate pitted against teammate. And remember, teammates, the 3 of them finished 1, 2, 3 at the first race of the year in Sears Point. And the guy running second right now was the one who won.
Exactly, but you know, all day Irv's cars looked strong. You know, I talked to him before the start of the race, and we talked about the injury he had, the injury in the pits yesterday, and he was real concerned whether his left hand would be able to make it today. So far, that left hand's doing a wonderful job.
This is a remarkable story. Now, we're not suggesting that for Irv Hare to win a Trans Am race, he wants to fall off of a pit cart every week, but it has not slowed him down today, and it is remarkable because he spent most of last evening and the early hours of last night in the hospital trying to get repairs to all those abrasions he received in that non-racing accident. There you saw a picture of Darren Brassfield currently in a runner-up spot. Now, Darren did lose that ground to Irv when he was fighting to get around Greg Pickett. Can't tell just yet which one of those 2 Oldsmobiles are running faster, but you can see that Hare is really standing on the gas.
He's pushing the car. There's no doubt about it. He's using every inch of the road that's available to him there, and When you see that slide out on the exit of the corners, then you know he's using everything he's got.
All right, Jim Hendrick, you were complaining about the heat earlier. Still hot down there, Jim?
Well, take a look at Les Lindley's right ankle. He's got it in ice. Les, what's going on?
We didn't put the cool suit in. I had usually run on my foot sometimes, and it burnt my heel. It just hurt so bad and couldn't concentrate. So I figured it was easy to just come in before I get somebody hurt or screw up the race.
All right, Les Lindley, he's got his foot bucket in ice. Of course, he burned his foot, and it's that hot out there. Now let's go back to the booth.
Well, the racetrack has a lot to do with this. Had this been a normal race course where it wasn't so dangerous, it's possible that Les Lindley would have stayed out there. But things are different here on the street course in Addison, Texas. Irv Hare continues to lead. We'll be back.
Now you can draw the roundest circles. Perfect straight lines in any direction, even complicated geometric patterns. Perfect every time with the amazing rolling ruler. The secret tool of architects and draftsmen has two tire-like gripping rollers that keep the rolling ruler level as it speeds across your work. The special meter automatically indicates the distance between your lines. The rolling ruler makes professional-looking office forms, charts, graphs, school projects come alive. Do geometry and trig faster and easier. Craftspeople find it irresistible. Dress patterns can be altered to any size. The handyman will love the built-in protractor for perfect angles or make beautiful curves and long straight lines that go on and on. Call for Rolling Ruler at this toll-free number now. Simply insert your pencil into any hole and roll straight lines, parallel lines. Insert two pencils and roll curves, arcs, and circles instantly. Redecorate like a professional. Replan your lawn and garden to perfect scale. Get results you'll be proud of. Kids love it just for doodling. Rolling Ruler is only $12.98. Call now. You'll also receive the amazing pantograph. Copy your favorite photos, cartoons, or designs to any size in just minutes. Finish with the confidence of a real artist. You'll impress yourself. Call this number now. You get the rolling ruler and the amazing pantograph for only $12.98. Order now.
You're looking at Jaron. Yeah, Jaron. That's a combination of Darren and Jerry. That is Jerry Brassfield, the Neolite car, who comes in with more than a flat right front tire. You can see that someone has drilled him in the back, or maybe that was a spin and he backed into a wall somewhere. But Jerry, in the midst of his best Trans Am season ever, was running back between 15th and 20th position, but a mid-race pit stop here to repair some damage to the right front. Don't know if it was suspension that let go or the tire just going flat, but he has been forced into the pits for an unscheduled stop. Meanwhile, no problems up front for Peoria, Illinois' Irv Hare. The Olivetti Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme is having a great day. Right now, he is leading his teammate Darren Brassfield. Number 19, we are told, that is Steve Saleen, is also being radioed by our spotters around the track as having a flat tire. Meanwhile, again, there's first, and there was second place. Irv Hare, remember, really lost significant ground on the racetrack during the mandatory pit stop. Doc Bundy called it live. He said, hey, that's a little longer than what it should take. And when he came out on the track, along with Darren, who had an on-scheduled stop himself today, they found themselves, by our best estimate, about 15 seconds behind Greg Pickett. But few street races go more than 15 or 20 laps without a yellow flag, and that's exactly what happened today. Darren Brassfield and Irv Hare had no prayer at catching Greg Pickett should this race go green the rest of the way, but that's not the way it happened.
Larry, two things. Sometimes we don't really think about the technical aspect of these cars, or I should say we speak too much of the technical aspect of this car. Here in the Rocket Sports pits, we should be thinking about the courage of Irv Hare and Darren Brassfield, who is suffering from heat. Irv Hare, as you said earlier, is driving in pain with facial laceration. So the bad boys are living up to their image.
Well, Irv Hare has 5 times in his Trans Am career won a race. And in 1990, frankly speaking, a lot of people, and I have a number myself, felt that he might have been the favorite going into the season, but I don't think any of us anticipated how strong those Berettas were going to be. And as it turned out, the Beretta twins were basically laughing at all of us. It was just no contest. for Chris Neifel and Tommy Kendall. Those cars were superior cars. And Irv, running out of the family operation, had no hope at becoming the champion. But he's got a shot again in 1991.
He's got a real shot, and as do Darren and Paul on this team. You know, Paul will lose some ground not getting any points this weekend, but they're a strong team. Excellent mechanics, good cars. They have a very good testing program, and you can tell that they know what the car is going to be like after it's run for a while on these tires. They've tested enough to know what to expect of the car.
Darren Brassfield, second place today, 7 times in his Trans Am career. He's been the victor of a race 32 times. He's been in the top 10. He is 9th on the all-time money winnings list. That is Darren Brassfield. That Neo-Light black Olivetti Rocket Sport Oldsmobile right there. Darren Brassfield has entered 73 Trans Am races. A lot of people don't realize how many races that he has racked up. Similar to Greg Pickett, though, they have made very few concerted efforts going after points championships. Back to the pits.
This is the tire that just came off the Brassfield car, and I have to add that there's basically nothing left of it, which prompts the question, are tires still a factor in this race? I think they will be. I think tire wear will rear its ugly head here before this thing is over.
Back out on course, you're looking at the second running Darren Brassfield, the Neo Life 5. There is the first place car of Irv Hare, and Irv has definitely put some distance between himself and his teammate. It's got to be a glorious day for Irv. Irv has basically taken a back seat to his 2 other teammates all season long. They have out-qualified him. Certainly Darren in the first race of the year outraced him. Darren was spectacular in the second race of the season down in Mexico City. We haven't seen that much of Irv Hare. Nor has anybody else today. He's been leading.
Seems to me a new car warranty should cover the entire car for many miles. Now take Ford Taurus. Its basic warranty ends at just 12,000 miles. But the basic warranty on the new Cutlass Supreme goes a bit farther.
Like from New York to LA, back to New York to LA, 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 to New York. Plus a trip to Anchorage, Alaska.
Cutlass Supreme with its bumper-to-bumper plus warranty. Here's one car that does it all and does it right. Hey, Dad.
This is the new generation of old.
Caught ya! You guys aren't supposed to be in here.
Hey, no problem, Honorable Dojo guy.
This is an import car.
Hi, we're the Auto Lights. Guaranteed in any language. Feel good.
Imports too?
Yeah, 2 years, no matter how far we go.
But I...
Oh, sorry.
Hey, but...
So sayonara. Hey, I feel good.
Okay.
I knew that I would not.
SCCA. We make racing happen. To get involved, call for membership information. Toll free, 1-800-255-5550.
Less than 10 laps to go at the Pontiac Grand Prix of Dallas and Addison. You're looking at the race leader, Irv Hare. This man has had an enormously long weekend. He struggled to turn in one of the top qualifying times. He was out-qualified by his teammate. Then he was involved in a serious off-the-racetrack pit incident in which he received serious abrasions to his arms and face. And now he has risen to become the Duralt star of the race today. Regardless of where he finishes, because of the adversity he has faced this weekend, he has performed exceedingly well today.
I think he's done a wonderful job. And talking to him on the grid just before the race, I know how concerned he was, and it was no psych job. He was real concerned whether he'd have the strength and to make it to the end of the race.
And that's not really Irv Hare's way. By the way, Darren Brassfield has really closed in. Irv Hare was caught up with the slower traffic. Now Jim is standing by with Steve Saleen.
All right, thank you, Larry. Steve Saleen, what the heck happened to number 19 down here near the first turn?
Oh, we were running real good, and I made a little mistake and brushed the wall just a little bit with the right front tire, and it broke the bead on it, and I got a flat tire.
You're out of the race, of course.
Yeah, and then I ran over some debris when I was saving it, so I must have got her flat in the rear as well.
Your car looks like it's okay except for the tire.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We were running good, and I thought that we really could have moved up because I was a little anxious there to catch up with that packed group. We had a little bit left.
See you in Detroit.
Okay.
Back to the booth.
First place has tightened up. 75 laps are now complete. 5 laps to go. The man who is the DeWalt star of the race for the past 2 years, and there's Jerry Brasfield. He's obviously come into contact with something else, either a wall or another car. The left rear quarter panel, rear window, and left rear fender are all dangling in the uncommon position. But again, back to Irv Hare. He is the DeWalt star of the race for the 2nd consecutive year here at Dallas, but he sees his teammate Darren Brasfield moving in. You heard from Darren earlier. He said that if it came down late in the race between himself and his teammate, it wouldn't make any difference. He is going after the victory, and I know Hare is hungry.
Well, with 4 laps to go, I know Darren. Darren will push him to 1 turn left to go, and he'll still push him. Darren wants to win as bad as anybody does, and Irv is going to have to earn it. They are no longer teammates now.
Darren is the younger of the two. Darren Brasfield at the age of 27. Irv Hare is not a crusty old veteran, but he's the more veteran of the two drivers at 44 years of age. Both of them have similar experience in Trans Am cars. Neither one of them has an edge there. Darren Brasfield is the younger, perhaps the physically stronger, but Irv Hare has done a lot in the last 12 months to improve his physical conditioning. I think it's pretty much a standoff, Doc. I don't think either one of them has the advantage of experience or physical conditioning over the other.
No, I think what it'll come down to is traffic breaks. You can see now that Irv has actually pulled out a little bit, and what had happened is Darren got real aggressive on those tires, started sliding him in the corners, as you can see, and he overheated them. Now, this will work for
Irv Hare meets him in a wrong spot in the middle of the chicane. You can see that Brasfield picked up a considerable amount of ground. It wasn't Jerry's fault, even though there's family blood ties there. It's just that Irv met him at the worst place on the racetrack in the slow-speed chicane.
And this, in the section they're coming up on here at the north end of the track, it can really mess you up easily here if you catch the guy at the wrong place on the racetrack. You can lose a good 4 seconds.
Scott Lagasse and Bob Tullius, group number 44, the EDS special, in 8th place, spun out, but it looks like he might have had enough cushion between himself and the people behind him that maybe he was able to hold on to his position. There is Irv Hare, the number 6 car. How far away is Brasfield? In the tight shot, you can see that Irv has some breathing ground, but he has also slower traffic in front of him. The number 66 car moves over and allows Irv to get by. That's Jimmy Landrum. Here's Irv Hare picking his way through slower traffic. He approaches Wayne Akers very anxiously. He looks frantically for a place. He cannot get by. He's hauled off by Akers. You can see Brasfield moves in. Irv Hare has still not got by Akers. They're side by side in front of him. Akers on the low side, and the number 18 of Glenn Fox on the high side. Fox steers out of the way. Brasfield has no problem getting through the traffic. We have 77 laps complete, 3 to go, and Brasfield is getting ready to move in on Hare, and Hare's about ready to butt Wayne Akers off the racetrack.
He had to give him a love tap there. That's all it came down to. Irv knew that he was being held up and that Darren would be all over him. So he just tapped Wayne a little shot in the rear so Wayne would look in the mirror and know he was there.
Now Darren has a little bit of difficulty getting around Wayne Akers. It wasn't so much that Akers was intentionally being in the way. It was just a point of the racetrack where it was tough to get around and make 2 lanes.
Absolutely, and you can't really fault Wayne a lot because you're so busy, it's difficult to look in the mirror. You're so busy looking where you're trying to place your car, and we're at the end of the race. Everybody's hot, tired, the track's slippery, the tires are hot.
Hey, thanks a million.
The heartbeat of America, that's today's Chevrolet.